Not initially. When I had the initial diagnosis, mainly because after I'd had the nephrectomy, they were very confident that they'd got all the cancer, and that I should just crack on and live my life. So at that stage, I wasn't aware that it might return. In fact, I suppose I was very naive at that time. When I was diagnosed as secondary, that's when it became very real, and certainly I was given the pathology report then, and it was explained to me what type of cancer I had. And I do understand now that you can get a statistical prognosis from that. But I also think that every patient is different, and statistics are just an average.
We were told about the pathology report. My husband wasn't diagnosed in the traditional sense. He was diagnosed after a secondary fracture. So we knew, we'd learned a bit more, I think, before his nephrectomy and what the importance of what the pathology was going to tell us after his nephrectomy. We already knew it had spread, so we knew that the stage of cancer was stage 4 before the pathology report was sent to us. But we were waiting on finding out the grade and the different types. We'd obviously done a bit of reading, so we had some sense of how important it was. But it didn't really sort of hit home to us till we actually received the pathology, quite how important and relevant it would be to what his treatment options would be and what the best options were for him. We, again, didn't even realise that there were different types of kidney cancer. It was only through researching it, looking for resources and information about it, that we realised there were different types. And again, it wasn't until we'd had the pathology report that we realised his was a particularly rarer subtype that really limited his treatment options.
I didn't actually ask about a prognosis after my nephrectomy. I don't know why. It didn't occur to me to ask. It wasn't something that I really wanted to know. But I did afterwards, once I had my pathology report, look at the staging and how much, what sort of life expectancy I would have. And I think I'm one of the lucky people in that my disease was found early and the prognosis was very good.
By the time we were referred to the urology department, he had a conversation with me and said, we've read the stats and we know that they're all based on averages, and actually I don't want to live based on an average. I don't want to be told that. We had a frank conversation with his consultant and said we're reading up on this, we understand the averages, we understand what the information is. He said to his consultant, I don't want you to tell me an average prognosis. When you've got to know me and my disease is progressing, I want you to have a conversation with me about my prognosis when you're as certain as you can be what my actual prognosis is. And that's how he chose to face the topic of prognosis. So lots of people would say to us, how long have you got? And, what, is it looking good? Is it looking bad? And what we said is we've known from day one it's incurable. We're just looking to live with this for as long as possible.
Yes, I was told at that stage the type of kidney cancer. It was clear cell. The oncologist proposed a treatment and actually gave me some information, an information sheet on what that treatment was. The treatment was sunitinib that she was recommending. I, at that stage, I suppose, wasn't in a position of knowledge to necessarily challenge that in any way if I wanted to. So obviously we went along with her recommendation and started sunitinib. And I'm still on it.
So the next step was a nephrectomy. From which they got the pathology report after his nephrectomy, which showed that it was a grade 4 type of kidney cancer and a particularly rare type. It was poorly differentiated with sarcomatoid features, which basically means it's not your usual clear cell or other subtype where there are known trials and known treatments for. They did a real trawl on trials that would be available that could be relevant for him. they put him forward for what was, I think, the Checkmate trial, which was nivolumab, which is now a first-line treatment for kidney cancer. But unfortunately, the screening for the trial, he had a pulmonary embolism that showed up in the scanning. So he failed the screening for the trial and wasn't eligible to go on that trial, which was a real low point. So his team did a real sort of literature review, and they thought that there was a combination of chemotherapies that might work given the sarcomatoid nature of his kidney cancer. They were hoping that it might work on the sarcomatoid elements and then leave the kidney cancer options there for the clear cell elements that were also present in his pathology report. He also went on to have radiotherapy on a couple of metastases that appeared in some of his soft tissue in his hip and his pelvis.
They really need to understand how important it is for their future treatment, and that they need to ask very specifically, ask the clinician to make sure that they get that pathology report. And then the best thing really is to join a support group like the Kidney Cancer Support Network and share the experiences with people who've also looked and understood their pathology report, and ask questions and learn as much about your disease as you can possibly learn.